Hey everybody, Al Puglisi Trains. Today is Howard Zane's birthday. How you doing, Howard?
I'm a year older. I'm 86 now, and it's okay. I used to be depressed, but now I just am happy I made it to 86, so I'm grateful. I still say thanks every morning I wake up.
That's great. And today we're going to start selling brass on the channel, and as we sell brass, Howard's going to explain, since you're an expert.
I'm way out of the loop, Al. I'll do the best I can.
Yeah, and tell the viewers, and we'll take you on a journey. Even if you don't buy brass or don't want to buy brass, at least you can understand what it's all about. So go ahead and just in a nutshell, Howard, kind of tell everybody.
Well, let's go back to 1962. I'm in the Army. I'm at a little hobby shop in Belmar, New Jersey. Belmar, I forgot the name of the shop, but they had brass models. And I looked at this one model. It was of a B&O Q4B by Akani, and the retail price was $39.95, and it was on sale for $33. And I said, I can't pass this up.
Right.
So I said, I bought the thing, and I just fell in love with brass ever since. A month later, I was in a hobby shop called Highway Hobby House in Paramus, New Jersey, I think it was on Route 17. And I made the mistake of bringing my wife with me. And in the case, you walk downstairs, and that was the brass room. And we're talking, when I say brass room, we're talking about a 6,000-foot room.
Wow.
With brass cases everywhere.
Wow.
That's how big brass was in those days. But in one case was this model. It was gorgeous. It was made by Nakayama and imported by PFM. So it was labeled a hand-built. It was of a Kansas City Southern 210-4, and the sign said 1 of 12, and the price was $169.95.
Wow.
Now, being a junior whatever in the Army, I was lower than Welsh at the bottom of the ocean, and that would have been more than almost a month's salary.
Wow.
This is 1962 also. Now, I passed up. I didn't buy the engine. I thought about it. Now let's project ourselves up to March of 1997. I'm at an auction in New York City at Sotheby's, and it was an auction of this very wealthy guy, wealthy kebab, that was letting his collection go, and he's auctioning it off through Sotheby's. And it was interesting, and I got the catalog, and I saw a lot. Well, I'm not going to get into the mistakes. That's between whatever. Anyhow, this model was there. Not the same one, but one of the 12 models. It was painted, and the hammer price was $28,000.
Yeah.
And by the time the person got done paying the New York sales tax, the buyer's premium, and all kinds of other tacked-on crap, the check he wrote was for $34,000.
Wow.
For something I passed up at $169.95.
Right.
Now, this is not the norm. Brass is no guarantee it'll appreciate. There's more of a chance that it'll probably depreciate, but then again, it holds most of its value.
Right.
When I was selling brass for the Piermont division, aka BrassTrains.com, I would never, ever tell customers to buy it because it's going to go up in value.
Right.
However, during the period from the late 70s up through the early 90s, maybe mid-90s, there were people that would actually buy brass like they would buy commodities. They knew the market, they would study it, and they figured what's going to sell and what kind of deal they could get. I was one of these critters, and that's how the Piermont division, aka, as I say, BrassTrains.com, that's how it grew. From one little locomotive to when I retired in 1967, I bought a small collection of Pennsy brass, and I parlayed that into the BrassTrains.com, which I sold in 2005 to Dan Glazier.
Right.
Why did I sell? I love brass. Most people couldn't figure it out, but what they didn't realize, I was a one-man operation. And I had a gal that would come in once in a while and help me out. And my typical day would be I get up, have a cup of coffee, take my whatever, and have breakfast, and start the day by writing sales receipts and customs forms, because most of my stuff was being sold or going overseas.
Overseas.
Yeah, most of the expensive stuff, anything over $1,500, and there were a lot, would go overseas.
Right.
Mostly to anywhere in Europe and also to Asia. I would not sell to Indonesia because a lot of times Well, I'm not going to get into that, but you have to find out for yourself. But
Right.
the only thing I could say, if you're going to sell, if you're a dealer and you want to sell it in Indonesia, be careful
Right.
because they understand what chargeback is.
Right.
Anyhow, go back. More questions. I'm here.
Yes. Well, I'm just going to show folks real quick just some of the cases of your brass, and just to give them an idea of.
Well, the cases in the brass that you'll see, there's probably about 900 brass models in the house. Not all are for sale. The stuff downstairs, I think you and Andre counted just a shade under 300 brass models
Right.
that have DCC in full operation. Up here, there's about 600 models.
Right.
Now, the stuff in the cases are left over because when I sold BrassTrains.com, I said there were 1,800 models I had for sale. We only found 1,400.
Right.
Well, the price was adjusted accordingly. A year and a half later, I found the missing 400 locomotives because when I was redoing the house and putting the new additions on, I moved the brass to another a closet that I forgot all about that I
Good
had.
God.
So I went in the closet one day and boom, there were these locomotives
God.
staring at me. So that's what's in the case now. I haven't really done much with them.
And let me just walk over there real quick.
Now there were, to see, the case is also a lot of high rail. So there are 3 cases with brass.
Yes, and we're going by Station Zilla here, and all.
Put the lights on so.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pause it and just take you folks to one of the first cases of HO brass. Let me just pause this. Well, folks, we got one case lit up, and if you ever,
Right here.
unbelievable.
It's on.
And
This power strip on.
you got the cases on, Howard?
Yeah. Hold on. All 5 are on.
And Howard, is everything in this case for sale or just certain items?
I'd say 95%.
Okay. And most of these locomotives do not have DCC or sound.
None of them do, no.
None of them do. Some are custom painted, some are factory painted.
No, all the Erie stuff I painted.
Okay. Here's an example of a Erie that's not down on the layout that you custom painted and weathered. And there's a beautiful Canadian Pacific locomotive. Folks, if there's any one road name you're looking for, you want to collect, or a rare piece or anything in particular you want, please reach out and contact me, and I'll check with Howard and see if we have it to be able to sell it to you. Now, these are all HO scale. He has a lot of Erie. Road name after road name. We've got Norfolk and Western, B&O. We've got C&O. We've got Santa Fe, Union Pacific, Norfolk and Western. I mean, I can go on and on. Great Northern. On and on and on and on. There are so many. And like I say, these are not DCC. These are DC. Custom painted. Some are factory painted. Some are extremely rare. Most of them have the box. If we don't have a box, he's got some special BrassTrains.com boxes that they can be put in. Let me show you another case real quick, and we'll get back with Howard. Here's another case. There's diesels in here, steam, virtually every railroad. It's literally unbelievable. You got a case here, and then on the other side, you've got another case packed full of brass. And that's a lot of these cases Jeff Grove made from Carolina Craftsman Kits. He no longer makes cases, but he did an absolutely beautiful job on some of these cases. And I'm going to pan over here to another case. And these are HO, no N scale. These are all HO. And the other cases have a lot of O scale, high rail, and O scale brass, some. But the bulk of the collection is HO. So let's get back to Howard and talk about it. So Howard, now, not all of the locomotives, but most of them have the original box?
Oh yeah, we have tons of boxes upstairs, original boxes.
Yes, yes. Just amazing. Okay, Howard, so we were talking earlier, and we're going to make this...
Hey, I forgot to mention.
Yes.
I got a great birthday present from Sandy. I got a bill for my Alta Cacamobile. It's got a pussycat on it.
Oh, good. That's funny.
Next is a horn of mud flaps.
Right. Good
Okay.
God. On Breaking Bad, one of the drug kingpins, he was in a nursing home in an Alka-Cockamobile, and they rigged up a bomb to it to kill a bunch of people. He was a vegetable, and he had a little ringer just like this. And right before he blew it up, he set the ringer off, and that blew it up. He took out a bunch of his enemies.
Including himself, apparently.
Including himself, yeah. So hopefully there's not a self-destruct mechanism.
No way. I don't have any enemies except the IRS, probably.
Well, Howard, now that we're back from the cases and talking about you don't have a bomb on the bottom of your Alta-Cockamobile.
Not a bomb, it's a bell.
Bring it. Kaboom! Anyway, for those that watch Breaking Bad, this is a fine art.
Yes.
And it explained to people why brass trains are fine art.
Well, it's not put together on an assembly line. They're built by very, very skilled craftsmen. And unfortunately, it could be a dying art, and I don't know. Brass is still produced in Japan by Tenshoto and a few others, and also still in Korea. But it's just not practical to bring it here, mainly because of the price.
Right.
The average price of a brass engine today, and we have one major importer, we have a few smaller importers, but Division Point is the big guy, the big dog in town. And anything produced today, like a regular non-articulated steam locomotive, is going to be over $2,000.
Right.
And articulated in brass will be $3,000. Remember, these are handmade by artisans.
Right.
And any kind of diesel will be probably about $1,000.
Oh yeah, they're even more.
Everything will be painted, and the reason factory paint is prevalent on most models today, probably all of them actually,
Right.
is because they use a material that is not 100% brass, and it requires a lot of heat to put parts on it. And
Okay.
therefore, heat leaves burn stains on brass.
Right.
Now, years ago, this was a problem of what they would do. I think Gem was the first company that actually sprayed everything gold.
Right.
Then came, Connie started doing that, and also Key. Just about everything Key ever produced, unpainted, was painted in a brass color.
Right.
And that's not too bad because that's actually a good primer coat. You don't have to strip it.
Right.
There are people that are a bit anal that really go through about 100 steps of preparing a locomotive for brass. And I could take something and just dust it off and get the same effect.
Right.
So, and I've done that.
And before I forget, I'm just going to show people real quick an example. So let me just pause this.
Oh, sure.
Here's some examples, folks, of what Howard was just talking about the non-painted, that where they take a brass locomotive after they've soldered on all of the details, and then they're painted gold so that you don't have any of the solder marks or any of the burn marks when they add all these incredible, intricate details. Some folks like the locomotives in the gold, unpainted. Others prefer having a factory paint or custom paint, because back in the day, so many brass locomotives came unpainted that you had to pay someone to paint them. And you know, Howard, I was thinking after walking over here, you know, another reason it's a fine art is you're custom painting these things. You need to be an artist to paint these. You can't just spray paint these.
It takes a little practice. I mean, it's an art in painting these things, and the more you do, the better you get at it.
Yeah.
It's just airbrush is not that difficult to work with. What's difficult is cleaning the damn thing out.
Right.
But actual painting is pretty easy. You develop. If you have no skills on airbrush, I'd recommend going to a train show and buy $2 box cars and practice.
Right.
And practice and practice. Like it makes it perfect.
But kind of the point I was trying to make on the custom painting is that it adds to the fact that it's a fine work of art, because an artist had to paint it, prime it, paint it, and decal it, and letter it, and it just winds up being just this incredible work of art. And I just want to pan in here. And Howard, let's talk a little bit about Broadway Limited. They've got a brass hybrid line. Now, they're very nice, but what's the difference there on this?
You got to get me to talk about that. Well, that's all right.
Well, they're very good.
They are what they are, and they're quite excellent, actually. The brass hybrids are affordable.
Yes.
I would call it affordable brass.
Yes.
And the only thing that's not brass are the frames, probably the truck frames, or of a plastic or of a die-cast material. Frames, original frames were plastic, now they're all die-cast.
Right.
That's okay.
Right.
Some of the brass models actually had die-cast frames, but very few people know about that. And of course, it's there, and we're not going to talk about which ones they were. Now, affordable brass is not new. Years ago, Sunset came out with their Prestige line, and some of the models were nice. They all ran well. I don't know who the builder was. I don't think it was Sam Hoxa. Maybe it was. I just don't know. But I was impressed. And then to compete with that, PSC, Precision Scale, came out with their affordable line. I forgot what they called it, but it wasn't Prestige. And they did some models that were quite excellent. First one of the series was the B&O Q series, Q1 through Q7. And my God, those things were excellent. They were factory painted, beautifully done. And not only that, but the original price was in the 400s. They've appreciated up now to around 600 apiece, because of the quality. And then again, you have there's brass for everybody. If somebody is modeling, let's say, a period model, let's say New York Central back in 1942, he might not be able to find his model in plastic, or die cast, so he goes to brass. That's fine. The main reason, not the main reason, but one reason you have to consider, we're all getting older, and I can certainly speak for that because I know what it's like. And someday our family is going to have to sell this stuff. Now, if you spend a lot of money on manufactured plastic stuff or models, your family's going to have to sell it, and they're going to get 10 cents, maybe 15 cents on a dollar. Brass, the dealers now, what I know of, will probably offer you between 40 and 50% on the retail dollar. And that's a big difference, rather than getting 15 to 20 cents on a dollar. The only difference is you have to lay out more money in the beginning. Now, there are some models that actually will hold their value.
Well, I mean, perfect example.
I can speak very well about that.
Not all plastic ones, but like the Bachmann EM1, those things have skyrocketed in value.
Those were excellent, considering they were plastic. They were very good.
They've skyrocketed in value.
I think I sold you one of them.
Yeah, and then so some of the stuff is in plastic is skyrocketed, but as a general rule,
it's still a manufacturer. It's a mass-produced item manufactured in the thousands. Brass is individually made out of metal, built by actually unbelievably skilled artisans. In
small batches.
Runs of 100. Now, years ago, they used to do runs of a little bit more than 150. The champion of that would have been the PFM Santa Fe 280. There's over 8,500 of those things produced.
Oh, geez.
B&O L2s, L1s, they're up there, 2,000, 3,000 runs. And they're
good values in brass to buy now.
But the only trouble, the one thing I don't like about brass, and a lot of companies did reruns, and that kind of plays hell on the previous models, their value. Now, there was one importer that was NJ Custom Brass. A lot of people think it's New Jersey Custom Brass. Not so. NJ is Nick and Jack. Nick Reese and Jack LaRussa. That was their initials, and they're based in Long Island. They did a lot of mid-level stuff using Dai Young and what the hell is it? Dongshen and Dai Young. And a few others. And I say mid-level, and that's exactly what it was. It was priced accordingly. But I don't ever remember a rerun done by Custom Brass. And then they got into doing a series called the Custom Royale, which was made by GO Models or GOM or Goto, whatever you want to call them. Most people call them GOM, as you see GOM on the label. These were exquisite, all made in Japan. The first of the series was 1975, which was the Southern Pacific P13. Beautiful model. Today, it brings as much as what the retail price was years ago. But a lot of people don't realize that was the first of the series. The next model was the Northern Pacific Class A 484. That was actually the first Northern ever produced as far as prototypes go. Now this model today, in my feeble opinion, is one of the 5 best brass models ever produced. You can include in that the PSC Western Maryland Shea and the models that PFM did through Atlas or United back in the late 70s up through 1981. There were 4 models that were produced. There was Union Pacific FEF-1 with the smoke shields or elephant ears. There was what the hell, the Santa Fe 210-4 of 484, and the C&O Greenbrier.
Wow.
Those 4 models were among the best ever done.
Now let's talk about what we have here for sale today. W&R, the brand W&R.
W&R stuff is fabulous. It's Korean, made by Sam Hawks. It's some of Sammy's. I call him Sammy. It was some of his best.
And these guys here are from your collection. These.
Well, they were a part of my inventory. Just I never sold them.
And we just pulled them out of the box to show you. And these are a W&R, which is one of the best makers of brass.
Yeah, these also, I can't call these mint because they're out of the box. Mint means never out of the box. However, when I got these, they were new in the box.
Okay.
Okay, so they're in excellent condition. You can take a look at these and you'll see there's absolutely 0 runtime.
Beautiful.
However, anything we sell, we will run forwards and backwards and make sure it's fine because we don't want to have any returns.
Now, when we don't take offers on this stuff, we're not an auction, so when we put out a price, it's the price. And if you want it...
we will bundle it. They buy a shitload of stuff, we'll give them a good price.
Right. Now, what are you selling these guys here for?
These are $19.50 a piece.
Okay.
And those over there are $7.50 a piece.
Okay, these ones that are...
Now, they're identical except for the logo on the tender. And the number, of course.
These are what?
I5s.
I5s.
New Haven.
And these are absolutely beautiful each. And these are also $7.50 each.
Yes.
And they're not DC. They do not have DCC or sound, but you can have that
Put
installed.
DCC in it.
Yeah, you can have that installed. Absolutely gorgeous. Well, folks, we're going to be doing a lot more in this series. We're going to feature logging engines. We're going to feature C&O engines, B&O engines. We're going to feature articulated monster engines. Maybe we're going to do features with PFM and the crown. What a crown is, you know.
Well, and we talk about one of the first importers was, I think it was International. I don't recall. There was hundreds of importers actually, and the very first model I think was in the early 50s. It was called a Tootsie Roller, believe it or not. It was a Japanese prototype of an 060. Now that model you could buy for $7 or $8. Today, collectors will kill for it.
Wow!
If you could find one.
Wow!
It's
well,
I had one at one time and I sold it. Fella made me an offer I couldn't refuse.
Brass is a hobby within this hobby.
Well, it's kind of one of the laments I have is that brass is a hobby within a hobby. It's a hobby within model railroading.
Right.
But it should be a hobby by itself. Nobody has ever taken brass out of the model railroading hobby. And that's something I wanted to do because there are collectible shows all over the country.
Right.
And these shows have anything that is collectible. And why is it collectible? Because people know about it. Now, if you go to a collectible show, in the front you'll see racks of magazines and periodicals and even fine books on items like Depression glass. Right. I went to one collectible show in Atlantic City. Fella selling condoms. No, I don't think there's a periodical on condoms. It would be kind of funny. I could just see scumbag collecting fun for the whole family.
But the fact of the matter is, this is an incredibly collectible enterprise.
For the collector, I think just about everybody on the planet has some sort of an affinity for trains. Right. Now, in collecting brass or trains at a collectible show, there's so much that you can collect: passenger trains, freight cars, box cars, billboard reefers, gondolas, locomotives, anything you can think of is there. Right. And builders, importers, and but nobody knows about it. Jack LaRussa, years ago, started a magazine called the Brass Collectors Quarterly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Jack is an excellent authority on brass. He was the J in the N&J Custom Brass.
Wow.
And there were only 6 issues of this magazine ever produced. Now, it actually traveled beyond locomotives and model railroading. They had brass armor cars, brass sailboats, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
But it was all about brass. And it was growing, but for some reason, he cut it off.
Wow.
My guess would be subscription rates were low, but you have to start somewhere. You have
Right.
to walk before you can run. If I was a publisher or knew anything about this, I would probably have wanted to start that. But I've had too many ventures in my life. Right now, I want to retire.
And we have a lot of folks that they don't have layouts, but they collect brass. We have
yeah. I would say some of the new stuff is winds up on a shelf.
Right.
Some people buy brass and never even open the box because they want to be able to say it's mint when they sell it.
Right.
And those people that were buying brass years ago as commodities were doing just that. And never took it out of the box. They would open the lid to see if there was a locomotive there. But once you unwrap it, then it becomes excellent.
And one of your customers, he collects Pennsy brass and has virtually every rare Pennsy passenger train in shelves.
Yes, he does. And there are people I know that collect Santa Fe.
Right.
There are roads, like Pensy's one road, that actually just about everything they ever ran has been modeled in brass except for a few small classes of switchers that were never done.
And you can bet your ass that the manufacturers now are not going to bring that stuff back because there's not enough money or demand for a company like Joe Blow to come out with a strange locomotive.
Now it's generational. Now, when I was in the heyday of brass, which I would put at 1997, you got to remember that people that collected this stuff were all people that actually saw brass. They had a relationship with it. There are 2 new generations that come in. We had the millennials. Now we have the Generation Z. Maybe you have a generation I forgot about.
Right.
They have no relationship with steam. They don't know about it.
Right.
Some do because of historical modelers. Some have been on tourist lines. But overall, the thing right now that is driving model railroaders are price and diesels.
Right.
And electronics.
Right. Right.
And not the brass collecting.
Right.
I can remember the days when brass was on the backside of every model railroader and railroad model craftsman. Always had a full page ad for PFM.
Right.
Not so today. It's not mainstream.
Well, Howard, we're going to be doing a lot more of this and selling a lot more stuff. So I just wanted to thank you for taking a little bit of time. And again, this is going to be an ongoing series. Brass trains, brass with Howard Zane. And there's going to be a lot more stuff for sale. So if anybody out there wants something or is interested in a particular line, like, hey, my grandfather worked for Canadian Pacific, what do you guys have? Please reach out and contact us.
Now, this is a subject we cannot cover in 25 words or less.
Right.
It's going to take several videos. And I think we can do this each week as we offer more stuff for sale.
Yes.
Okay, you got my ponytail?
Yeah. Here,
I got my ponytail.
All right. There he is. It's actually a little bit bigger there, Howard.
There you go.
All right. Well, hey, happy birthday and thanks.
Oh, thanks. That'll look like a whatever.